The first rule in investment is don't lose. And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule.
In fact, you can argue that if you're not willing to react with equanimity to a market price decline of 50% 2 or 3 times a century, you're not fit to be a common shareholder, and you deserve the mediocre result you're going to get.
And this is the essence of herd mentality, the tendency to follow the behaviors and beliefs of the larger group without stopping to question them, all in pursuit of acceptance and belonging. We are far more susceptible to the pressures of others than we'd like to admit.
You need a stable personality. You need a temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being with the crowd or against the crowd, because this is not a business where you take polls, it's a business where you think.
Frankly, this market has started to look very casino-like.
Now, if you play a slot machine, you think you're trying to win, hear the ting, 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 and the bells go off and you won. You think that's the dopamine reward. But they've figured out, unlike the old rotor machines where you have some cherries and bells and stuff, in the electronic landscape, you could have an infinite amount of novelty through novel combinations. So now they figured out that people will play to win 50 cents on the dollar, so they lost 50 cents, right? And they know that rationally, or they could know that rationally, but they'll continue to play until it's all gone.
We've generally tried to only swing at things in the strike zone, and our particular strike zone. And it really hasn't been much more complicated than that. You do not need, you don't need the IQ in the investment business that you need in certain activities in life. But you do have to have emotional control.
The world is not driven by greed, it's driven by envy. The fact that everybody's 5 times better off than they used to be, they take it for granted. All they think about is somebody else has more now, and it's not fair that he should have it and they don't. That's the reason that God came down and told Moses that you couldn't envy your neighbor's wife or even his donkey. I mean, even the old Jews were having trouble with envy. And so it's built into the nature of things.
Envy. Nobody ever wants to admit that they're envious. It's a sign that we feel inferior, and it's an ugly emotion, and it leads to sabotaging, passive-aggressive behavior. Well, you can flip that envy around into something joyful and actually powerful and creative once you're aware that you have these tendencies.
In primitive nature, tracking your neighbor wasn't about jealousy. It was about survival. If a member of your tribe suddenly acquired more resources, it meant your share of the food supply was actively shrinking. Our brains evolved to view someone else's success as an immediate threat to our life.
One of my favorite tricks is the inversion process. I'll give you an example. When I was a meteorologist in World War II, they told me how to draw weather maps and predict the weather. But what I was actually doing is clearing pilots to take flights. Just reversed the problem. I inverted. I said, suppose I wanted to kill a lot of pilots. What would be the easy way to do it? I soon concluded that the only easy way to do it would be to get the planes into icing the planes couldn't handle, or to get the pilot to a place they'd run out of fuel before he could safely land. So I made up my mind I was going to stay miles away from killing pilots by either icing or getting them into sucked-in conditions when they couldn't land. I think that helped me be a better meteorologist in World War II. I just reversed the problem. If somebody hired me in reverse, Kobe Bryant had somebody like me, he'd still be with us. Yeah, it was so stupid to kill yourself that way. But just that basic, I may have learned that from my grandfather. My grandfather would say to me when I'm swimming, say, swim as long as you want, but stay near the shore. But you can laugh, but he was a very wise man. In algebra, if you invert, you can solve it easily. If you don't, you can't solve it easily.
So, in physics and algebra, inversion is used to solve impossible equations by proving what is false first. Buffett and Munger realized that trying to be a brilliant investor is mathematically high risk. Instead, they inverted the problem. They mapped out every single way a person could go broke, and then systematically avoided those actions. Wealth is not built by chasing brilliance. It is built by successfully eliminating stupidity.